Hi, welcome to Newly Listed. I'm your host, Barrington Miller from the Canadian Securities Exchange. And today I'm here with Ranj Bath, CEO of Nurosene. Welcome to the show, Ranj.
Thank you for having me.
You know what? Our audience, normally we jump in and start talking about the company, but I want to talk about what Ranj did before Nurosene
Ah,
because he was involved with Beats. Talk a
uh,
little bit about what was going on.
there's a long history, but I'll give you the 2 minutes. So you can hear the English accent. So I've been in the States for now 20 years. I moved across in tech. I was working in strategic relations for Intel, the computer company in Northern Europe, and I got moved to their head office. Was in global marketing for about 7, 8 years across different groups. And then I think you can see how this unfolded into where I landed in Beats. I started a digital entertainment venture while I was at Intel. It started off as a hobby. And when some venture capitalists come along and they say, "Oh, you should kind of like build this as a company and inject millions of dollars in cash into this thing," I'm like, "Okay, well, I'll go and give this a shot." So I had some tier one VCs like British Jefferson, Trident Capital, D, Shore, the big hedge fund. And one of the most strategic guys that came and invested in the company was Jimmy Iovine. And this guy founded Interscope Records, and then eventually with Dr. Dre, he started Beats by Dre. So when I ended at my time at my company, then I went across and I was asked to be VP of Corporate Strategy at Beats. So worked with them through the acquisition by Apple.
Unbelievable. If you haven't checked it out, look up the Defiant Ones. It was a very, very good docu-series. I think there's like 6 episodes, something like that.
Yeah,
Amazing,
it's
amazing.
great.
Now, let's talk about Neurosene. Tell us a little bit about what the company does.
Yeah, so my founder, I was brought in back end of last year to be the CEO, and it's been a bit of a wild ride since. But my founder is a functional neurologist out of Toronto, and the company was actually concepted in 2019, but really started to focus in 2020 on turning this into a real company. So Dan in clinic, in his private clinic, sees individuals. He's been seeing celebrities, NHL teams, NFL athletes, and within clinic, a functional neurologist would put you through all sorts of like brain training exercises. You might go and see him for various kind of conditions, also for general mental wellness as well. And what we've done is we've digitized that experience and brought that inside an app to bring to the masses. So something that we're almost like democratizing mental wellness, mental health care, to provide a very powerful tool, which is usually seen behind closed doors in clinics with the few that have means. And basically what we've done is we're taking those exercises to coach your brain on a daily basis. And we brought those inside an app. And that's the version that, we launched the app last week. That's what's available right now. Where we're going with this is, I think, the thing that's making people most interested. So we are building in, what we call passive data collection points. So integrating, all these wearable devices that, Whoop bracelets, Apple and Google Fit. So the heart rate variability, the sleep tracking, the resting heart rate, integrating that in with what we're testing right now, things like facial capture. While you're doing the exercises, this can detect minute eye movements in your face or detect areas of inflammation of your face. And we're using the gyroscope of the phone for balance. So all of those things that someone in clinic would recognize and start saying that you might be predisposed to certain conditions and putting you on a pathway to prevent them, we're doing those inside apps. So it's predictive healthcare leading to preventative solutions.
Sounds like the minority report of mental
Yeah.
health.
You
It's
know
like,
what we get it. Everything's kind of in terms of the way that technology is offering us incredible solutions and knowing so much about you. We're definitely working towards that.
uh, let's. Can you talk a little bit about your team? I know you mentioned the founder, but the people that work with you.
Yeah, so we've got an incredible team. So like I said, I joined, you heard my background. Um, One of the guys that's on the team, Bill Tyler, he's a veteran of the supplement industry. And one of the things that we launched yesterday actually was a line of nutraceutical supplements that have been developed by Dan, who studied at the Institute of Functional Medicine and has put hundreds of people through brain scanners to see the effects. He's compounded thousands of formulations for his clients. And we're taking all of that learning and putting that into a line of nutraceutical supplements. So very different from the breadth of wellness supplements that you're seeing out there today. These things work at a cellular level. activating your mitochondria to produce energy, shutting down brain functions at night. So they're not sleep products, but they're more restorative products. So they work very much in complement with the app, right? So Bill, he's been driving things from the supplement side. We've actually signed a big deal with one of the US's largest retail distributors. So that's you'll see it on shelves soon this year as well. So that's in terms of some of the core teams, a whole bunch of people with experience from companies like Under Armour Innovation Lab, which is so we're kind of like pursuing opportunities in sports, athletes, youth academies. What's really interesting, I would say, is some of the advisors that we've got on board. So on the medical and scientific side, Dr. Luca Pani ran the equivalent of the FDA in Italy for 5 years. They were a lot more stringent in some of the regulations. So the Director General of the Italian Medicine Agency. So he's joined our advisory board. Dr. Newton Howard, probably one of the top neuroscientists in the country, found the Mind Machine Project at MIT, professor from Oxford, Georgetown, working on real, and this is Minority Report stuff, future solutions in mental health. So neuromodulation, neurostimulation, with helmets that sit on your head that we've been hearing about, but also deep brain stimulation. So minimally invasive surgery to insert brain chips up your nasal passage that stimulate layer 6 of your brain. This stuff's incredible and has already been shown to be effective against Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. So a great, incredible group of people helping guide us.
It's like, what have I been doing? No, that's fantastic. I did have a question, sorry, and while you were speaking, it clicked on me, and I think I'm asking this question on behalf of some of our audience who are listening. The information and the collection of the information and the security of that information.
Yeah.
Where is it going? Who houses it? And a second is a little bit deeper. When does that person, the patient, give up that information? Like, when is it no longer theirs to own and it becomes the property of somebody else?
Great question. So as I mentioned earlier, then we're putting this powerful tool in people's hands, and I'd love to talk more about that because some of the ambassadors that are involved that feel the responsibility.
Yeah, for sure.
That data is the data is yours, right? So the app is always going to be free, and you've heard it here that we will never charge you for the app. We will never sell your information, right? So on an individual basis, this is about using the technology to give you a personalized preventative solution, right? So that's over time, your program inside the app is going to be very different from mine based on what the technology and the AI is actually detecting. What we are going to be doing is within, and this is where we're going from a revenue standpoint, beyond just the supplements that we're selling, is we're looking at trends in data sets, right? Subpopulations of people that could be suffering with certain conditions. So let's say we got a group of people who are suffering with Alzheimer's, for example, and then putting them through this exercise, and over time, this thing might detect differences. Or let's say the long-term effects of COVID on mental health, for example. But what we're doing is we're taking that data and we're putting it through atlases or directories of health diseases to identify opportunities for pharma drug development that we will then take to phase 1 clinical trial. And we're already going down this pathway as well. And also looking into where we're going to go into research studies, both into pharma and also novel molecules as well. So we've been hearing about this huge psychedelic renaissance as well, that some companies getting huge market caps in that space. We'll look at any solutions for mental health. So that could be digital therapies today and through our supplements today, but also future solutions where it leads us down the pharmaceutical route or the technological advancements in the future as well.
Oh, no, that's fantastic. I'm so curious, and I'm really, really glad that just thank you for going down this path. And as we all know, that mental health and mental health awareness is extremely, extremely important during these times. Normally I ask what people have to look forward to with your company, but you've clearly surpassed that. Who's your competitor?
We're coming at a very scientific based approach, and when you start looking for what we're doing and what we're building, this is not been done by anyone, and it's game changing the way we're looking at it. And that's what I think is the most incredible thing here. There's such a big opportunity because no one's doing this, but this is almost like the future of healthcare, right? This is the future of healthcare, and we're targeting the mental health space, but looking at preventative solutions that are being detected through a very powerful tool that we all have in our hands and making use of that. And as I mentioned, we already have people who are very aligned with the FDA. So Dr. Luca Pani was one of the guys that actually helped to get Achilles Health FDA cleared. So we're looking at working very closely with the powers that be, regulatory bodies, to say, well, we're coming out with all this data. Is it validated? So we're going to do a whole bunch, or we're doing a whole bunch of validation studies. We've got some incredible ambassadors involved. I don't know if you saw some of the news that broke over the last week. People like Michael Phelps, Richard Sherman, who've joined our advisory council to say, okay, well, what's our responsibility socially to make sure that we have accessible solutions available for everybody. And it's unique what we're doing. It's unique in our thinking, and nobody's doing what we're doing from technology side, but also thinking the way we're thinking around it as well.
The spokespeople that you have, they're not only passionate about it, but they're extremely articulate. If you listen to their interviews and discussions that they have, they can represent your company, and more importantly, the cause behind your company really, really well. Mr. Bath, I just want to say thank you on behalf of the Canadian Securities Exchange. If you've been listening, you can find this content on www.thecse.com as well. Check out our YouTube channel, CSE TV. I've been your host, Barrington Miller. This has been an episode of Newly Listed, and we were speaking with Ranj Bath from Nurosene. Thank you, and see you next episode.
Thank you for tuning in to another Newly Listed on the CSE. Please feel free to hit like and share this content, and hit subscribe if you haven't already.